Okay, well, thank you for joining me. We're going to look at overworked pieces today. So, an overworked piece is a piece that's guarding against multiple immediate threats at the same time. So, they have to be immediate threats for the piece to be overworked. I'm going to use this first one as an example here. So, again, an overworked piece is guarding against multiple immediate threats. And so, if we look, you should always consider checks and captures, right? Well, there's no checks here. So, as far as captures, we can capture the knight, and we could the knight can capture the bishop, and the rook can capture the bishop. So, both those pieces can be captured. Well, when you imagine the captures, you've got to think about, if I capture this piece, what will my opponent do? So if we capture this bishop, well, the queen is going to capture us. That seems pretty obvious, right? Well, what happens if we capture this bishop? Well, the queen is going to capture us. Well, wait a second. Wait, is the queen going to capture us if we capture this bishop, or is she going to capture us if we capture that bishop? So that is why she is overworked. She's trying to guard this guy and this guy at the same time, and even a mighty queen can't do that. So maybe pause your video, think about how you would play this. Imagine capturing the different pieces and think about, which one are you going to capture first. So hopefully you pause your video if that's what you want to do to think about this. But yeah, you could actually go either way here and get some sort of advantage. If we capture this one here, we gain a 3-point bishop, but we're going to lose our rook as the queen captures, right? So we're losing a 5-point rook. We got a 3-point bishop, but we're going to go ahead and capture here, and we get two bishops for a rook. So we get 6 points of material for 5. So you might think, whoa, hey, so that's a advantage. So that's what I'd play. Hopefully you thought deeper than that, though. What if instead we capture this guy first? So in general, you should capture with the least valuable piece first if you're going to be losing pieces. And if the queen captures back, then we get this rook or the rook takes this bishop for free, and we end up with 2 pieces, so 6 points of material for the price of 3. If we play this move, maybe. If you're down material, normally you don't want to trade. So maybe you don't, as black, maybe black doesn't capture. But then, yeah, you're going to have to reposition your bishop, and which maybe that's the best way for black to play. Again, usually you don't want to trade when you're down. But yeah, if the queen captures here, then we just go ahead and get the bishop for free, and black's in big trouble. You don't want to let your opponent get their rook on your 7th rank if you're black, or your 2nd rank if you're playing for white. Okay. Let's go ahead and take a look at the next one. All right, so it's black to play in this position, black to play, and white has an overworked piece once again. White has a piece that is guarding against multiple immediate threats at the same time. So more than one, so 2 or more immediate threats at the same time. So black is threatening to do a couple of things, and the same white piece is trying to defend them both. Who is it? First of all, just identify which white piece is overworked. That's where we got to start. And then pause your video if you want to solve this puzzle in general. What move would you play as black? Okay. So hopefully you've paused if that's what you want to do. But the queen is the overworked piece. She's guarding the bishop, which is under direct threat from our bishop. And she's trying to guard the rook, which is under threat from the queen. So the queen, mighty queen still cannot do this. She can't guard both. So you can go ahead and take this bishop here, threatening the queen. And, what are you going to do? If the queen captures the bishop, we get the rook. So we traded our bishop for a bishop and a rook because the queen was overworked. So she was an overworked piece because she was trying to guard 2 different pieces at the same time, both of which could be captured. So that's, again, I'm always saying you got to consider checks and captures, and this is part of the reason why. Okay, let's move on to the third one. Okay, so in this one, it is white to play, and black has an overworked piece. So which black piece is overworked? pause your video if you want to identify that overworked piece. I do recommend that you identify the overworked piece before you come up with a move. Which piece is overworked here? Okay, hopefully you paused your video if that's what you want to do. So as I've said, you got to consider checks and captures. So in this case, it's actually a couple of checking moves. The black piece here is defending against two different checks, and it can't defend against both of them, as it turns out. So there's two different checks here. Queen captures pawn, seems crazy, and also bishop here. The rook is defending against both those checks. So when you identify an overworked piece, then you think about what it's trying to do and how to like take advantage of it. So, you know, if you play bishop here, the rook can just capture it, and then if queen captures pawn, well, you know, the king could just defend, or even the bishop could come and defend. So that doesn't quite work. But what happens if you play the crazy queen sacrifice? Well, you're going to lose your queen. The rook can take, but then bishop here is just checkmate. So queen captures is the way to go, and it's a mate in two. Check and capture, and then this is just checkmate. Also, for some of my beginning intermediate students, you may not know this. I may have not told you yet. Don't push your f-pawn if you're playing black. Do not push your f-pawn in the opening. This is so dangerous. Yeah, unless, again, this is for beginner and intermediate students. If you're a much stronger player, maybe you can get away with it because you're paying attention to what goes on over there. But it is so dangerous to open up this diagonal. In fact, this diagonal here, opening this up, is called the fool's diagonal because only a fool will open that diagonal. So be careful about pushing your f-pawn. So yeah, that one a mate in two. Okay, let's go on to the next one, the fourth one here. Okay, black to play here. Black to play and take advantage of an overworked white piece. So first of all, I would recommend identifying which piece is overworked. And you can do this by starting to look at the different checking moves, the different capturing moves that are available on the board. So which white piece is overworked? I would recommend identifying that piece first and then moving on to think about what move you might make. Hopefully you pause your video if you're planning on solving this, which I hope you are. But the overworked piece is actually this pawn here. The c2 pawn is overworked because the bishop is threatening to capture the knight and the rook is threatening to capture the bishop. Either way, it's this pawn that's responsible for recapturing. Okay, so this pawn is overworked. Now, how should we play it? How should we play it? Well, you should imagine playing the different capturing moves. If we play rook captures pawn, they're going to capture our rook. So, you know, we gave up a 5-point piece. We got a 3-point piece, but we can pick up the knight also. So we're going to get 6 points of material for the price of 5. Seems like a bargain. But if you only went that far, you're being lazy in your thinking. We got to consider both scenarios. What happens if you take with the bishop? Well, you're going to lose your bishop, but you got a knight, so you got 3 points of material. But you get this bishop for free. So you're going to get 6 points of material for the price of 3. That's a much better bargain. And actually, if you play this move, white should not recapture. So if white is smart, they realize that they're losing. They're down a piece. You do not want to trade when you're down. Why would you trade, you know, their bishop for this bishop and mess up your pawn structure at the same time? We're not supposed to capture to the outside unless we absolutely have to. If you're capturing a pawn, with a pawn, you usually want to capture toward the center. So you're doubling your pawns over here and you're trading bishops. So actually probably the best move here is just to like defend the bishop. Probably something like this would be the best move for white. They shouldn't recapture because you do not want to trade pieces when you're down. Okay, let's go ahead and take a look at the last one here. So one more here. Okay, actually I misspoke. We'll do this one and one other one. It's white to play, and again, we want to identify the overworked piece. So which black piece is overworked? So there is a black piece here that is trying to guard against multiple immediate threats at the same time. Can't do it. And if you identify that overworked piece, then you have a beginning to solve the strongest move in this position. So pause your video if you want to think about which move or which piece is overworked. All right, hopefully you pause your video if you want to do that. But yeah, we're supposed to think about all checks and all captures. So checking move, also a capture. Queen is defending. Rook can capture the rook. Queen is defending. So the queen is the overworked piece, but we're not done. So now you need to be thorough. You need to go through and consider the different options. What happens if you play rook captures rook? Well, the queen is going to defend, but the bishop is now defended by the rook. So you gain nothing. If you play rook takes rook, it's just a trade. You know, rook takes rook, you get a free rook, or you don't get a free rook, they're going to capture you. The bishop is defended. But what if you play rook takes bishop? Well, this is a checking move, and the thing is, this is not a move like, you know, a beginner or intermediate student will make a lot of times, because you're trading your rook for a bishop. But it doesn't matter. You need to consider all captures. You need to imagine them fully. The thing is, if we take that bishop, the queen has to recapture. It's a checking move. You're forking the king and the queen. She's got to recapture. And now this rook will be undefended. So rook captures bishop. They have to recapture. And now we can get this rook for free. So we traded our rook for a bishop and a rook. So we got 8 points of material for the price of 5. So we went up 3 points there, and we're winning now. Okay, last one. So this will be the last one. Okay, yeah, so it is white to play, but black has an overworked piece. One of black's pieces is trying to do too much. It's guarding against multiple immediate threats at the same time, and it can't do it. So pause your video if you want to think about which piece here is overworked. Which black piece is overworked here. Hopefully you've paused your video if that's what you want to do as far as considering this. But yeah, it's actually this knight on e6 that's overworked. You're supposed to consider all checks and all captures. Rook captures d8. Hopefully it was one of the first moves you considered. So rook captures d8. It is the knight on e6 that is defending. Bishop captures bishop. It is the knight on e6 that is defending. Okay, so you've solved the overworked piece, but you're not done. You have to go through and fully consider your different options for what you play. And it seems like it doesn't matter, maybe. In some cases it may not, but you need to consider nonetheless. The thing is, if we play bishop takes bishop, if they play knight takes bishop, then yeah, you're going to go ahead and take the rook, and you have the advantage. But if you play this, you should always consider checking moves first. They can play rook takes rook, and it's just even. There's no advantage to be had there. But like I said, we should consider checking moves first. So if we play the checking move, they have no checking move to play. They capture, and we get a free bishop. Okay? So that's overworked pieces. It's a tactic that a lot of players that don't study the game don't even know about. So if you keep this in mind, you keep the idea of overworked pieces. So an overworked piece, again, is a piece that's guarding against multiple immediate threats at the same time. It can't be done. Well, in many cases, it can't be done. Sometimes a piece can guard two different pieces at the same time if they're on the same diagonal or if they're on the same file or something like that. But yeah, that's overworked pieces. Thank you for checking that out. I do have unlimited classes till August 18th if you join. So legendarychess.com. I will put a link in the description to the registration for that. But yeah, thank you for joining me. Please subscribe. I will be posting several videos a week once again. And yeah, take care, everybody. Adios.